everyone. It is Tuesday, December 13th, 2016, and it's time to go to work on music. Today's going to be a drum day, going to do some online classwork, and we are going to continue to work on this set. Getting sort of toward the end of my um, time that I've really set aside to get this show locked up, and it's feeling good. I think I've sort of gone pretty deep on it and made a lot of good sacrifices to make it as good as it can be, and now I can just pretty much polish it for the next couple months and perform it and then just move on. But at the end of this week I think I'm going to move on to some new creative projects. I haven't decided exactly what yet, but basically I think I'm going to hit the learning front hard. But I'll keep you guys updated. Don't want to talk too much. Let's jump right in. Alright, good Beinhorn post there, and learning how to learn video. In the learning how to learn video, they're just talking about when you're reading complex material, just learning how to notice stuff and look for patterns, things that come up over and over again, particularly with really dry material. And I think you can use that for listening too, for sure. Just looking for patterns, noticing things that your intellect grabs onto, and just trying to find a way to plant that seed in your mind. And then the Beinhorn article was talking about how a lot of business people and kind of society in general sometimes often talks to artists like they're worthless, and that what they create is sort of like at the lowest level of the totem pole of economic um, value. And I don't know that very many people would deny the spiritual value, or I don't know if that's the right word to use for it, but the emotional value of art, music, and etc. Um, but I think the point that most resonated for me, or the thing I was thinking about, was how via the sort of Steve Jobs um, iTunes business model of I guess post Napster, there was a price put on songs. It's like 99 cents a song, and apparently, and all of a sudden that just became what they were worth now. Versus previously, and sometimes even now, with streams, it's like, okay, one listen to a song is worth a fraction of a cent. I mean, just the economic terms that we've collectively decided as a culture that music is worth is sort of interesting. I think it's worth thinking about. And I think part of the point he was making in the article is like, why are we looking to these outside sources to make this happen for us? And in a previous article, he talked about how a lot of artists just don't reach for that business acumen. They avoid it. And it makes me really excited to be learning a little bit more about digital marketing, learning more about entrepreneurship, leveraging my background in entrepreneurship and experience in business on the music front. And I've really been looking for a harmony between the worlds of commerce and artistic creation. And I don't know that my own personal gain financially is going to be enough to really motivate me to make the best art that I can. It's possible. I mean, I am not going to lie and say that I don't have material desires, or that I haven't grown up in a materialistic society that's totally predicated on consumption. But I just have struggled with the tension between, like, okay, is my own personal financial gain, like, that sort of just seems like an ego desire. That doesn't really seem like a place that's going to give rise to something truly genuine that speaks to other people in the way that I want it to, which is on a level that ideally is deeper than just the identity ego sort of level of consciousness. Not that I don't respect music that does speak to that. I think it's very valid. I'm just saying that's not necessarily what I am striving to create currently. But this idea of sort of taking hold of the value of art and creativity, harnessing that power and leveraging it in a business sense to make a point, to make like a point to society and to other artists, like, no, actually, like, you don't have to give away all your music for free, or your music isn't worthless. Your music does have value, and not all music has this kind of value. I mean, we're talking about really putting in the work and really making content that's authentic, well studied, and has the education and the passion behind it that a top lawyer would have, or a top business executive would have. I mean, people don't just walk into being a lawyer or being a doctor. I mean, you go to school, you train for many, many years. Why should music be any different? And even rock, I think. Part of the tradition of rock, of course, is like saying fuck all that, which has its place and I think is a really beautiful thing. But a lot of the musicians I've realized that I admire do have pretty extensive educational backgrounds, and that allows them to create music that's both technically brilliant but also very emotionally and what I would call spiritually satisfying. And that's what I think I'm most inspired by. And I don't know how far I'm going to go with that, but I just think that harnessing that power is sort of like the perhaps our generation's or the 21st century rock and roll move of like, no, actually we're going to be the entrepreneurs and we're going to leverage the power of the internet as artists and as creative business people, and we don't need to sell any of that to anyone else. It can be for us. And I do think that having a smaller, higher margin business is probably better for the listenership of music and the artistic community, rather than having just a mass market of music where certain things have mass appeal and then everything else sort of dies by the wayside. And I think that the internet is making that more and more possible these days. It's just a question of, first, number one, how do you make the best music possible? Which is not an easy question to answer. And then number two, how do you connect with the people who are really into what you're doing? And that's what this music business class that I'm taking is all about. And I just feel that this Beinhorn stuff really dovetails well with my sort of passions and ambitions behind that. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. I'd be certainly very interested and curious to hear. Yeah, I'm going to let those ideas germinate. It's really, really good to just talk it out in front of the camera. I would really encourage you guys to do this in your own practice if you're not already. Bust out a camera or bust out a notepad or computer, just type in what's on your mind, what are you really thinking about, Open up to yourself. You don't have to share it with anyone else. You don't have to make it public on the internet like this is going to be. But it is freeing, it really is freeing to just realize, like, wow, maybe I really don't have anything to hide, artistically. And even personally, I mean, that's so much of the battle I've been fighting recently in art, and I know this talk is going on for a long time, but whatever. That's so much of the battle I've been fighting recently with art is like not editing it too much. There's appropriate amount of editing, like, I don't know that just spitting out whatever's coming off the top of my head, stream of consciousness, is going to be interesting or exciting or even have the effect that I want it to. But there's a certain amount of editing that I think starts to make things worse, where you're really removing the parts that just make you uncomfortable because it's too personal. And that's fine. I mean, I don't think we need to publish. I think honesty and openness are two different things. I mean, if you ask me something point blank, then I'm going to be honest with you about it. I'm not going to lie. But that's not the same as just saying whatever the heck comes to mind, or whatever is in the back of my mind, some idea that I haven't even explored myself, or even given myself the opportunity to know if I agree with that idea. There's many ideas in my head that I don't agree with. But this whole process of opening up via the vlogs and videos has been really therapeutic for me in a way, artistically, because it just makes me realize, like, you know what, actually I can just be honest in my songs. I can be honest with my music, I can be honest with people face to face, and it's okay to have an opinion about stuff, whether it's right or wrong. It's okay to share it and talk to other people about it and really examine other people's points of view, and really be open to changing your opinions based on those points of view, and be open to sticking by your point of view, because it's really what you feel to be right inside, and anything in between as well. So Wow, that went like way further than I thought it was going to. Anyway, I'm gonna let those ideas germinate. Woo! And get into some drum practice here. Alright, really good session. Just walked through the entire set start to finish mentally, including one of the cover tunes I'm going to do. And yeah, making some good insights, making some good changes. It's sort of just smaller tweaks at this point, which is exactly what I wanted. Just getting more comfortable with the sound, starting to get the bigger picture of what the whole set feels like and how I'm going to tie each song together, and sort of the camera just died there. So yeah, overall positive session. I think it was the good move to just not try to set everything up and go 100% in. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be kind of the last big full day to work on the show, which I'm happy about. And then I'll just kind of take it piece by piece from there. But yeah, feeling good. It's in a really good place. I mean, I think if the show were this weekend, I could pull it together and it would be definitely good. But I'm also glad that I've got some time to dig a little deeper on a few things and polish the stuff up a little bit and really take it to that level of like just awesomeness. You know, just I really want to present it in a way that lets people really connect with exactly what my intent has been for all these songs, and that can take a lot of time to take it from just presentable to impactful, but that's really the goal right now, is to get the presentation so polished that it's just effortless and perfect. And that doesn't mean there aren't any miscues or mistakes or anything like that, but just to the point that it's not stressful to do it. So sometimes going from that good to great level can take a lot of extra effort and time. I'm pretty hopeful that in this situation it's going to come together. But yeah, so far so good. So I hope you guys are out there grinding towards your goals, whatever those may be. I wish you the best, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.